How's it going? I'm Brooks,
I'm Joe.
and this is Cantina Reviews.
Today we're joined by Robert Johansson, and we're talking The Force Awakens.
I think now that the movie's been out for so... I just realized that you were doing whatever, and I was just talking, and I was like, oh wait.
No.
Now that I think it's been out for some time now, and that I've seen it multiple times,
Yeah.
it's, you're kind of off the high of, whoa, that movie was so good. Now you get the time to think about it.
Yeah, we can properly analyze it as I've seen it a bunch of times. It's been out for over a year.
Right.
The hype is not so big right now because Rogue One's out.
Don't get me wrong, it was a great movie. It's just the more you see it and the more you think about it, the more you kind of really start to pick apart at it.
Mm.
I think my biggest complaint with it is just, in my opinion, it was just slower moving, if you'd say. We're on Jakku forever. Finally, they get away, and then they're on the Millennium Falcon, and then she wants to go back, and they find Han Solo and Chewbacca, and then they want to go back. And it's like, okay, let's do something and finally get to Mazes and all hell breaks loose.
My problem with the movie is actually the exact opposite.
Really?
Which is fine, which is okay. For me, I thought I needed a breather sometimes. And I think the example I always use when people talk to me about it, the Jakku's all over, Poe and Finn escaped. They do the thing where they do the Millennium Falcon TIE Fighter race. And then that dies down, they're out into space, they're off Jakku. And Rey and Finn are like, oh yeah, that was so awesome, blah, 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 how'd you do that, all that? And it's like, I'm Finn, I'm Rey. And then, boom, there's an explosion behind them, they have to go fix it.
Okay.
It's just, I thought, there could have been a little more breathing room here and there.
Okay, just a break between actions.
Yeah, not so long to make it slow,
right.
but just a breather. And I think, what are you pulling your shirt down for?
Speaking of ADHD.
Speaking of getting distracted, they're catering to people with short attention spans, the internet age, I think.
Yeah, maybe not as far as I was saying, not action packed. I think now that I think about it more, it's more of the same scenery, if that makes more sense.
I guess
they're just on Jakku for a while.
Yeah. And
then it finally changes. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think that's my biggest complaint now that I rework it. You
can almost think about it just in three parts: Jakku, Maz's place, Starkiller Base.
Yeah, that's really it. There's a couple places in between, but nothing that's
I'd agree with both complaints in a way. I think in some parts it goes way too fast, and I do think in some parts it goes too slow. I feel like you are on Jakku for a while, but I also think it's obviously necessary, because just like in A New Hope, they have to basically explain what the hell you're doing there in the first place. Mm-hmm. So in order to start the character development, I feel like that's why it may have moved slow there, but maybe that's why it ended up moving too fast later on, because they wanted to make up for lost time, maybe.
And I agree there's a lot of Jakku, and I think maybe what the issue is that you're having is there's not a lot of real standout moments on Jakku.
Right.
For me, when I think about the Jakku part, my favorite moment is a real simple one. We just got introduced to Rey, and she goes through her whole day, but then she's sitting at the AT-AT, and she's eating, and then she puts the helmet on, and she's kind of just imagining she's a pilot. And I was instantly, I love that character right away. Mm-hmm. That's the best moment from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. Right. I think it's good, how they kind of ended Jakku with the Millennium Falcon, really pulling you into it, it's just a piece of junk, and it's...
They got a nice cheer in the premiere. Yeah.
That's what's interesting with it. I think it has a good mix of having both a lot of new, but then has the grasping back at the old, showing the AT-AT, showing recognizable stormtroopers. They're not the same, but you could recognize what they are. The recognizable TIE fighters. The Millennium Falcon, obviously, is the most recognizable part of the movie. And I think it's just cool that they tie it all together with having you see Han Solo and Chewie again.
I thought Han Solo was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes.
After repeated views too, it wasn't just the hype. He did a really good job.
Oh, yeah, he did, just reprising the role.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's... You can't have a Star Wars movie without the Death Star in it.
Apparently.
But the Starkiller Base is a whole new weapon.
But I think...
in a sense.
Yeah, it's like a bigger Death Star. They even kind of say, I think Han Solo says like, "Oh, it's a bigger Death Star."
No,
They even compared
one of those like alien guys.
Someone says it,
in the thing.
and but I think the focus isn't really there on it.
No.
Like A New Hope and Return of the Jedi. I'd say it's more as like a backdrop for what's going on with like Kylo Ren and Rey and Han and all.
Yeah,
that.
like it's not the
like
point
that.
of the movie.
Yeah. I also really love Kylo Ren.
Oh yeah,
He's like a really interesting villain.
Oh yeah, when he wasn't a whiny asshole.
See, but I
Luke
think it was.
Luke was whiny. Luke was
Right.
whiny.
No, it was like the
whiny,
way
but we talked about it before, where it's like a whole different animal. It's like
I think it's whiny in a good way.
yeah,
I just get the impression that like this is what in the prequels they wanted Anakin to be,
exactly.
and they failed in the execution.
just
and
like
in this,
torn.
like torn and like kind of bratty, but also kind of just angry and
Full
like
of rage.
bad execution in the prequels, good execution in this one.
And I think it just shows how it's interesting because in the movie they keep talking about, well, between Han and Leia, they talk about, oh, there's still some good in him. And it shows because there's moments when he's thinking, but then he goes into his all-out rage. So it shows you, to bash the prequels again, I don't think they really showed you the real turning to the dark side as well as this maybe it does.
It just kind of happened.
It focuses a lot more on like what thoughts and emotions really pour into what happens. It's like he obviously is distressed and something pisses him off, and it just shows how he just got into this role. And I've seen all these things talking about his lightsaber especially, because the biggest thing when all the trailers were coming out, I thought, was wow, here's the first lightsaber I've ever seen that doesn't look complete. It's all fiery, and it's like interesting because you can definitely make the connection that it has to do with his rage.
It fits his character really well, and it just has a presence. And like especially seeing it in like IMAX or in the theater, that lightsaber is loud and
awesome.
mean.
It's so cool.
And it just has such a presence to it, which I thought was really cool.
Well, that was the thing that also tying to what Rob said. When you go to the exhibit in Disney, and they say that it does that because of how powerful it is, that also ties into it too, that it's so powerful it can't really be tamed, and it's so like out there that it's kind of like his character is too. Like he's so powerful and he's torn and he's just sporadic. Like you never really know what he's gonna do.
Well, that might have been my favorite part of The Force Awakens in general and the entire total scheme of things. When you think about the original trilogy, you're getting Luke, who's more of a prospect of the Force, where it's like this guy obviously has untapped potential, but you don't know how much. I think it's really interesting because this movie has many different obvious like characters that's like, well, these ones are Force sensitive, but what's their maximum thing? Kylo Ren might in fact be the strongest of all three, but they also hint at the same time that Rey could be more stronger than any of them.
I like
so it's really interesting.
Before we get more into Rey, I do like you're saying Luke in the beginning of A New Hope. And throughout New Hope, it's like he's got potential to be like a good Force user, a good Jedi. Where it's like here, this is the first time in Star Wars we've seen the opposite. Usually, I feel like in Star Wars you already have that fully formed villain.
Yeah.
Where here you're seeing the villain grow,
Yeah, like
the
starting.
villain struggle, and like all that, and it's different. As far as Rey, yeah, I guess she could potentially be really powerful. I thought the scene with the mind thing, where she turns back and reads his mind and realizes she's got something going on, was really interesting.
It just shows that he's all these people are complaining about how he stops that laser over in on Jakku in the beginning scene.
Over Poe.
Yeah, and they're complaining. They're like, "Oh, how is that possible?" It's like you don't know the limits of what the Force is, and that's it's really interesting with what Star Wars is all about. It's like you never know what powers the Force could give you, so it's showing you how strong he is.
Yeah, because I think the first time you ever really see the Force used is when Vader chokes. Was it Ozzel?
I think it was Ozzel.
I think it was Ozzel or somebody. When Vader first chokes the one Imperial officer, that's when you first see the Force ever used in the universe. And he's choking somebody with it. So yeah, who's to say that it can't stop like a bolt of...
Right, and that just like it was different and it's cool.
It was insane.
I thought, going back to that scene, first of all, the intro to the movie was really cool. Suspenseful of like the troopers coming down and all that kind of stuff. Like the shot was really cool and kind of shows that there's like a domineering power again, and but in a different way. I was a little antsy because the prequels were so bad.
Yeah,
it's been a while since we had a great Star Wars movie, and for me, I like immediately relaxed. They drag Poe, like he stops the bullet, drags Poe over, and Kylo Ren gets in his face, and Poe's like, "All right, who talks first? You talk first, or I talk first?" And I was like, "This is gonna be like this will be good." Like I was like immediately kind of like it's fun again.
Oh yeah, speaking of kind of like more comedic relief and everything, really just playing into the long-standing joke of that who installed the toilets on the Death Star and how many contractors died on the Death Star.
Yeah.
And then, lo and behold, Finn worked for sanitation
Yeah.
on Starkiller Base.
Right.
So they're kind of just showing you that, they're kind of playing into what the fans want.
Mm-hmm.
Or, things that have already been out there.
Yeah.
They're using it to help make the movies better.
A lot of complaints I've seen about it throughout the past year are just like a lot of unanswered questions. First of all, J.J. Abrams, if you ever saw Lost, I mean, they don't answer anything. But also, when you really think about it, you had a lot of questions after A New Hope, I would think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't know, you kind of thought you knew about Luke's father dying. But you don't know who Darth Vader is.
No.
You don't really know what the Empire's all about. You don't know a lot of things, really. So, I mean, the first installment shouldn't be answering all the questions.
No, that's what I was going to say. I mean, it's the first movie in the line of the next 3 or 2. Why would you want all your questions answered?
Right.
Because then you're just going to go see it and you're going to be like, oh, well, it's a new story. But you kind of want everything to be kind of elongated over the 3 movies. I think it's going to be cool to see them kind of build upon what's already been installed.
Yeah.
Because he's Ben Solo. How did he get the name Kylo Ren? Who are the Knights of Ren?
Oh, yeah.
Captain Phasma, how did she get to her position? You know what I mean? Out of all these men that are stormtroopers, how did this woman rise to the ranks and lead?
Well, and even who is Finn?
Yeah. Who actually is Finn, Poe, and where Rey comes from and everything.
There's a lot of questions to answer. I think what could make or break for me, obviously, I mean, I think the characters are different, the nuances are different. It's kind of like A New Hope. Because, you have, the big base to destroy, a lot of the same kind of things, Luke sees Obi-Wan die, Rey and Finn see Han Solo die. There's a lot of, connections like that.
Right, a lot of callbacks.
What I don't want to see is Episode 8, The First Order Strikes Back.
Yeah.
That could make or break for me. Because the way I see it is, they had to restart and kind of show where this is going to be good again.
Yeah.
Now's the time to do something else.
Yeah.
And if it's just The Empire Strikes Back with a different name on it, that could be problematic for me.
Right, yeah, they're trying too hard to go back
Yeah.
and be like, well, look how closely intertwined they are, you know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, the first one you kind of did a good callback to A New Hope, now let's make something different here.
I think it's possible. I mean, Rian Johnson, I don't know much of his work, but he did Looper. That was cool, time travel-y, science fiction.
Yeah, real movies that made you think.
Yeah,
so, maybe we can expect some good, questions answered here.
I'd like to see real science fiction-y. Just don't try to reboot Empire Strikes Back. I mean, that could be a problem if I see that happen.
That could just make you wonder, well, my thought is, well, what do they have to work with when they make this next movie? Obviously, there's got to be some sort of retaliation. I'd argue it's a bigger hit than the Empire had with the Death Star, because as you were saying, from what it seems like, the First Order was not it's organized, but not enough where it's okay, we have a backup.
But they
looked
have all these
mostly
men that they
destroyed.
can lose on it.
Mostly they were destroyed.
So what I worry about is there's a lot of opportunity for them to do a lot of Empire callbacks. You can get a big confrontation between Kylo Ren and Rey, and he overpowers her, and he's like, I'm your brother, and she's like, no! Obviously, there could be similarities, because they're going to have to strike back, otherwise you don't have a movie. But, not just the same thing over and over.
Right.
So, that's what we think about The Force Awakens, and a little bit about what we want out of Episode 8.
Yeah, so some speculation here and there. Once again, I'm Brooks.
I'm Joe.
And I'm Rob.
And this has been Cantina Reviews. So now that I think...
Keep going.
Can you pay attention?
My heck is cracking.
I was last night, the other night, he kept drinking every time I wanted to start. I was like, okay, here we go.
Joe's a drinker.
Alright, I think that's it.
I think it was pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay, you want to wrap it up? Where are you going?
Whoa,
Whoa, there, big fella.